Hello and welcome to DDS1 on PlayStation. So we're going to cover on lab productions, what you should know, and the best locations for them in what property. All right, let's get started. All right, so here we are. One of the first things you'll want to know is lab productions. Why do you want them or actually need them? Is for one, spoiler alert, Eddie leaves you at some point in the end game and which you unlock at level 36. So when Eddie leaves, you won't be able to order any more products from him and you'll have to start making them yourself. So labs require dealers, which if you haven't already, or if you're new or haven't unlocked lab productions yet, and you're still early in the game, you'll want to unlock or recruit as many dealers as you want early. Because one, old clients that you currently deny being dealers, they never ask to be dealers again. So yeah, it'll be hard at this point to get new dealers if you deny most of your clients already by now to become dealers. Uh, all right, so we want to start out with holding furniture mode, and as you can see, there's an open apartment manager. Here, there's a convert lab type. As you can see, this gives you the list of all your dealers. One thing to note is that the higher the level your dealer, the cheaper it is to pay to train them. So if they're level 1, it'll be more expensive than a level 10, which is a lot more cheaper. The difference isn't too big of a difference. I believe like around level 1 it's around 900 and level 10 is around 500 cost to train them. And here you have to select. These are your lab options you can create. Coco, Meth, Ecstasy, Hero, Mary. And once you assign them, train them, as you can see, promote the dealer, and this action is irreversible. So once your dealer becomes a lab crew, yeah, it's irreversible. And it'll reset, as you can see, it'll reset experience. So the lab productions you can build in are any of your properties that have a save on it. So there's the small labs and there's larger labs. The difference between them is that the larger labs produce more and take less time to create than the smaller ones. And the cost difference between the to create a lab between small or big there isn't a difference. They're both the same. So to make batches and to create a lab, they're both the same, whether big or small. So you want to opt for the larger lab. And as you can see, each lab has a save. Here you deposit the amount of money you'll need to start crafting the products, and it'll have a table which all the products go to when it's made. You can see how many it produces, cost per patch. Both big and small had the same cost per patch. They require money and time to make. Alright, I think that's about it for covering. Now I'm gonna tell you all the locations for the large production labs starting at Sector A. Alright, so here we are in Sector A, and this is the Old Town Small Warehouse. This is located right here in Old Town, East Old Town. This is where you can build a large production lab. One thing to know is when you're starting your first two production labs, also that I forgot to mention is the first two production labs are discounted. So you'll want to create your two most expensive lab productions first, which will be right here, production, sorry. The most expensive production labs will be Coco and Hero. Alright, moving on to the next second location in Sector A. Alright, here you are in Sector A in the Stink area that's called Stink Building Floor. It's right here. This is the second and last location where you can build a production lab. Well, we'll set large production lab, sorry. This might be a good place to make a weed plantation because all the stuff you've grown, you can immediately then sell it to the psychedelic gang right here. And if you're wondering where do you go grow or produce the rest of the drugs the psychedelic makes, is you don't. You have to talk to Walter here, and he sells you the products. Alright, so moving on to Sector B for the locations of large lab productions. Alright, here we are in Sector B on the first location for the large production lab, and this is the Dead Town Warehouse. Here we are. Dead Town Warehouse. Alright, moving on to the second location. Alright, so here I am, the second location for Sector B for a large production lab, and this is the Desert Warehouse. It's right over here. Second location for large lab production. As you can see, I already have it set up. So in order to build a lab, you can't have any furnitures or any of this stuff here. So if you want to turn this or any old properties that you have set up in, you'll have to clear them out of everything in order to build a production lab. Just so you know. All right, moving on to Sector C. So here we are in Sector C, and this is the Factory South Warehouse. So here we are. As you can see, I already have a lab setup going on here. Alright, moving on to the second location. Alright, here we are in the second location, Sector C, and this is the warehouse next to grocery shop. Here we are. As the name suggests, it's right next to a grocery shop right here. Already have a setup going on here. So once again, you'll need to clear this place out if you want to build a production lab. Moving on to the last location. Alright, here we are in the last location in Sector C where you can build large production lab. And this is the small factory north warehouse. So here we are. Okay, so that's all the locations and properties for each sector where you can build large production labs. So to recap, large production labs make larger amounts of products at a faster rate than the small ones. Both of their costs is the same to create and make batches. To create the labs and make batches of it. And you'll want as many dealers as you can recruit, especially early on in the game before you even unlock production labs. As I mentioned before, old clients that you currently denied being dealers will not ask to be a dealer again. All right, I hope this helps some of y'all, and I'll see you next time.